these kind of movies don't exist anymore, unfortunately. So thank you again.
You'll be here afterwards.
We talk later, right?
Have a good screening night.
The project actually started, if you notice in the very end, there's this card, you know, saying like this is based on real facts kind of stuff, you know, whatever it says on the card, you know. So there was a case, or there still is a case like this in Germany, you know, it's the so-called NSU killings. And to explain that in detail, it would take a long time. So you can Google that and research that if you're interested in. And that made me very angry, the NSU killings, you know, and everything about it. So that was my purpose. That was the kickoff to sit down and write something. So it was a political kickoff. But once I start writing it, and especially after Diane gets into it, it becomes more and more a film about a mother, the grief of a mother, the revenge of a mother, you know, instead of like the political issue, you know. So the political issue, I think now, is exchangeable, you know. But the kickoff was clear political.
Right.
Fatih, great job on the screenplay. However, I just have a question. You had about 3 options on how to end the script. Why did you choose this one?
I think that was the best end for me. Yeah, I think like this is cool in a way. You know, yeah.
Because Hollywood doesn't want the heroine to die. So
It's not a Hollywood movie.
exactly, but Warner Brothers is.
I mean, Warner Brothers it's Warner Bros. Germany, and first of all, and they're cool. When I finished writing, you know, an early draft of that, I was like, okay, I need a blonde, blue-eyed, German, Aryan girl, you know, mother playing this. And I didn't want to go for the usual suspects in Germany. We have great actresses in Germany, but they're like the usual suspects, you know. It would be not like, I don't know, shine or, I don't know, bring the film some glamorous. It's completely non-glamorous story, and to have like a glamorous actress would, I don't know, help to make you people watch it, you know. So I met Diane a couple of years ago in Cannes at a party. I had a tiny little documentary, and I had this party. I was DJing, and late at night Diane appeared, and we had a little chat in German. And she lived at that time in France, and my films were known in France. So she was like, I would like to work with you one day. And when I was like, I don't want to go for the usual suspects, I remembered that chat with Diane. Diane Kruger, that could be something. And my wife, who did the casting, Fatih Akin, I asked her, like, Monique, what do you think about Diane? And she was like, you know, and she proved that.
So compliment about the music in your films, and this film in particular. How did you get hooked up with Joss Holm? Is this his first score?
I think it is his first score. He was doing, while I was editing and shooting, he was doing the Iggy Pop documentary, American Valhalla. You know, he was producing it or co-directed it somehow, you know. And he was working on that when I asked him to write the music about it. I don't know how it happened. I listened to a lot of Queens of the Stone Age music when I was writing the screenplay, because I feel like the music of Queens of the Stone Age, like the melancholic and at the same time being aggressive mood, would be the right key for me to write this stuff, and it was. And so I went to my music supervisor and gave her a list of 10 Queens of the Stone Age tracks. Can you clear the rights of them? And she was like, why didn't you ask the guy if you want to use so many tracks? And somehow we made a connection to him, and I had him on the phone. I sent him the film. We never spoke about Bataclan at all, you know, because it was his band who was playing in Bataclan in Paris, you know. So, but he couldn't go there because his wife was pregnant at that time, you know, and so he didn't tour with Eagle of Death Metal. So he saw a 3-hour version of the film. It was a very rough cut, was like the first editing. And I was like, if I'm going to show him this, he will not accept it because it was very raw. And he called me right away and said he would love to put his hands on it. And I'm so proud about that he did the soundtrack. You know? And he was like, do I have to do it like rock music? I don't want to go for rock music. And I'm like, go wherever you want to go. And this is.
Was the tree at the end CGI or did it really burn? This is the prosaic question.
I feel like a magic man now here who has to, you know, spoil all my tricks, you know, like, what do you think it was?
CGI.
I love trees, you know. I don't want to hurt the tree. The original title is Aus dem Nichts, and I strongly believe in titles. You know, I think a title of a film is the first, I don't know, connection to the audience somehow. And in the fate, Aus dem Nichts in German, it has a certain impact, literally. But if you translate it one by one, like out of the nowhere, or out of nowhere, or out of the blue, it sounds, excuse me, my French, it sounds shitty, you know? So I wanted to have something with more impact, you know? So I believe in literature, and I believe in translations, and I believe that different cultures can accept different titles. And In the Fate is a Queens of Stone Age track, and that is seen with that song in the film, but I cut the scene out. But I like the title. So,
At what moment did you decide not to show the first explosion?
screenplay. When I was writing the screenplay, you know, like she's not a killer. You know, it would be too easy. You know, like I mean, you cannot end a film like that and send everybody go home. You know, it doesn't work like that. And she's not a killer. She's not that cold-blooded. And, you know, but I spoil my tricks here. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. Maybe I should leave.
A compliment on your slate of films, all the the projects you've made so far, and a question around how you choose your projects, or I guess how you get inspired to go from project to project.
Well, there are two types of filmmakers in me. You know, it's like the filmmaker and the director. You know, and the filmmaker. It's like I write it, I produce it, and I direct it, and I sell it, and I make the money, you know. And directing is somebody hires me, and I shoot the screenplay, you know. And but I need a connection to that, you know. And I decided to become more a director because, you know, when I was younger, I could write every day a lot of material, you know, and about anything. I read something or something happened to somebody, and I could write about it, you know. But the older you get, you know, it's not that the more lazier you get, but the more like unsure you get, you know. You know, you lose your innocence, and you criticize everything more. So instead of writing a screenplay every 2 years, I start to write like every 5 years, finishing a screenplay. But I don't want to be like Stanley Kubrick, you know, like or Terry Malick, like shooting a film every 20 years. You know? That's why I accept other stuff too. So. There are certain projects, they come out of me, and there are certain projects they call me. You know.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for your question. We have time for one more, and I saw this hand earlier. So, a question around your connection to water and the sea, because of Edge of Heaven, and this film shares similar emphasis on that.
Well, my connection to water is, I think, you know, my father was a fisherman. You know, before he came to Germany. He was a fisherman in Turkey, and the reason why he came to Hamburg, the city I was born, it's a harbor town, is because they had the big ships there. So, you know, he had like little boats in Turkey in a tiny village, and then he had a big ship. So there was always like a connection to water in my family, because also my mother's family, they're from the Black Sea, you know, and I like these certain images in art and in paintings, you know, like. You have like the mothers and the daughters or the sisters of the fishermen who are waiting on the shores, waiting for the men to come back home, and sometimes they die outside because the storm comes up, and so the water is kind of like a beautiful or poetic image for me for the life after, you know.
Well, that sounds like a great place to end the conversation.
Right.
Thank you very much for your question.